Dr. Park Minji stood in the Great Hall of Kepler Station, watching as 12 alien species prepared to decide humanity's fate. The station floated in the empty space between star systems, a neutral place where the Galactic Council made their most important decisions. Today they would vote on whether humans could stay in their part of the galaxy. The hall was massive, with walls made of clear crystal that showed the stars outside. Each alien species had their own section, designed for their specific needs. The Vorthak sat in chairs made of pure energy, their crystal bodies glowing with soft blue light. The Trilaxians floated in water tanks, their tentacles moving slowly as they communicated through color changes on their skin. Park Minji had been Earth's ambassador to the Council for 5 years. She knew these aliens well, or at least she thought she did. She had learned their languages, studied their cultures, and tried to find common ground between humanity and the galaxy's older civilizations. But now, as she watched them prepare to cast their votes, she realized how little any of that mattered. The Vorthak leader, a being called Prime Crystal Veltar, spoke first. Its voice came through the translation device as cold and mechanical. The human species has shown dangerous expansion patterns. In 50 years, they have claimed 47 star systems. They build weapons instead of art. They compete instead of cooperate. Park Minji wanted to argue, but the rules were clear. Only council members could speak during the vote. Humans were still considered junior members with no voting rights. The Trilaxian representative changed colors rapidly, which the translator converted to words. Humans adapt too quickly to our technologies. They learn our science and make it better. This threatens the balance we have maintained for thousands of years. One by one, each species spoke against humanity. The bird-like Kefri complained that human ships were too fast. The plant-based Verdani said human colonies grew too quickly. The energy beings called the Luxans claimed that human thoughts were too chaotic and unpredictable. Park Minji felt her heart sink as she realized the truth. This was not about humanity's actions. It was about fear. The Council had ruled the galaxy for millennia, and they were terrified that humans might challenge their control. Back on Earth, Admiral Lee Jiho watched the proceedings through a quantum communication link. He sat in the orbital command center above Earth, surrounded by screens showing the locations of every human ship and colony in the galaxy. Jiho was a tall man with gray hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. He had been preparing for this day for years. "Sir?" said Captain Kim Taeman, standing beside the Admiral's chair. "The vote is starting." Jiho nodded but said nothing. He had learned long ago that the universe was not fair. During his 40 years in space, he had seen too many civilizations destroyed by those who claimed to be their protectors. The Council spoke of peace and cooperation, but they had wiped out 3 species in the past century for being disruptive to galactic stability. The voting was quick and brutal. 12 species, 12 votes against humanity. Not a single alien spoke in their defense. Prime Crystal Veltar announced the decision. By unanimous vote of the Galactic Council, the human species is hereby banished from all Council-controlled space. Human colonies and ships have 180 standard days to withdraw beyond the outer rim. Any human vessel found in Council space after this period will be destroyed. Park Minji felt the words hit her like a physical blow. Banishment meant that humanity would lose access to the trading routes that connected the galaxy. They would lose the scientific exchanges that had helped Earth advance so quickly. Worst of all, they would lose the protection of Council law, making them targets for any hostile alien species. The communication link crackled as Admiral Jiho's voice reached her. "Dr. Park, please return to Earth immediately. We have much to discuss." As Park Minji left the Council chambers, she noticed something strange. Several aliens watched her with what looked like regret, but none of them had voted in humanity's favor. She realized that fear of the Council's leadership had kept them silent, just as fear of humanity had driven this decision. The journey back to Earth took 3 days. During that time, Park Minji received reports from human colonies across the galaxy. The reaction was mixed. Some colonists panicked, fearing they would be stranded in space. Others were angry, wanting to fight back against the Council's decision. But most were simply confused, unable to understand why humanity was being punished for succeeding. When Park Minji arrived at Earth's orbital station, Admiral Jiho was waiting for her. The station buzzed with activity as officers prepared for the massive task of withdrawing humanity's presence from Council space. "Doctor," Jiho said as they walked toward his office, "I need you to know that this is not the disaster it appears to be." Park Minji looked at him in surprise. "Admiral, we're losing everything. Our colonies, our trade agreements, our scientific partnerships." Jiho stopped walking and turned to face her. "Are we? Or are we finally free to build something better?" In his office, Jiho showed Park Minji files that made her gasp. For the past 10 years, Earth had been secretly establishing outposts in star systems beyond Council control. These were not simple research stations but fully operational bases with their own factories, farms, and defense systems. "How?" she asked, staring at the star maps showing dozens of hidden human settlements. "The Council made one critical mistake," Jiho explained. "They assumed that humans would always need their permission to explore the galaxy. But we learned from every species we met. We took their technologies and made them better. We found star systems they considered worthless and made them profitable." Captain Kim Taeman entered the office carrying a datapad. "Admiral, all fleet commanders have confirmed receipt of protocol independence. The withdrawal will begin tomorrow, but our ships know where they're really going." Park Minji felt a chill as she understood. This was not a retreat. It was a strategic repositioning. Humanity was not being exiled from the galaxy. They were being freed from the Council's restrictions. "How long have you been planning this?" she asked. Jiho smiled for the first time since the vote. "Since the day I realized the Council would never accept us as equals. They wanted humanity to stay small and weak, grateful for whatever scraps they threw our way. But humans don't work that way. We grow, we adapt, we overcome." As Park Minji looked out at the stars, she began to understand. The Council thought they were ending humanity's expansion into space. Instead, they had just removed the only thing holding humanity back. The real question was not whether humans could survive in exile, but whether the galaxy was ready for what humanity would become without the Council's rules to limit them. The banishment had begun, but so had something else. Something the Council had not planned for, and something they would soon come to regret. 6 months had passed since the Council banished humanity from their space. The galaxy watched as human ships seemed to disappear into the empty regions beyond the outer rim. Most aliens believed the humans were struggling to survive in the harsh wilderness of unexplored space. They were wrong. Engineer Choi Beale stood on the observation deck of Titan Base looking out at something that should not have existed. Before her stretched a massive shipyard, its metal arms reaching through space like the branches of a giant tree. Hundreds of ships in various stages of construction floated in the zero gravity. Tended by robots and human workers in spacesuits, the base itself was hidden inside a hollowed-out asteroid in a system the Council had marked as economically worthless on their star charts. The system's star was old and dim, its planets barren rocks with no valuable minerals. At least that was what the Council believed. Human scientists had discovered that the worthless rocks contained rare elements that could power new types of engines and weapons. Choi Byal had been working on ship designs for 3 years, but only now could she build what she had dreamed of. Free from Council regulations that limited weapon sizes and engine power, she was creating vessels that would have been illegal in Council space. These ships were faster, stronger, and more advanced than anything the galaxy had seen before. "The new hull plating is ready for testing," said her assistant, a young engineer named Park Dong-soo. He handed her a datapad showing the results of their latest experiments. Choi Byul smiled as she read the numbers. The new armor used a combination of human metallurgy and Vorthak crystal technology. It was 3 times stronger than standard Council ship armor, but weighed half as much. The Council had shared their technology freely, never imagining that humans would improve upon it so dramatically. "Excellent," she said. "Begin installing it on the lead ships." "And what about the new engines?" "Even better news," Park Dong-soo replied. "The Trilaxian biogel we've been studying can be modified to create a new type of fuel. Our ships will have twice the range of Council vessels." This was the secret the Council never suspected. During their time in Council space, humans had not just learned alien technologies, they had made them better. Every scientific exchange, every cultural visit, every trade agreement had been an opportunity to study and improve upon what they learned. In another part of the galaxy, Colonel Yoon Daeho was overseeing a very different kind of operation. His ship, the Soul, was approaching a planet in a system that appeared empty on all council maps. But as they got closer, the planet revealed its secrets. The surface looked like a typical dead world, covered in gray dust and broken rocks. But beneath the surface lay something amazing. Human engineers had carved out vast underground cities, complete with farms, factories, and living spaces for thousands of people. "Welcome to New Busan," said the colony commander as Yoon Daeho's shuttle landed in the underground spaceport. "We've been expecting you." The commander, a woman named Dr. Han Mireille, led Yoon Daeho through corridors carved from solid rock. The walls were lined with hydroponic farms that grew food in perfect conditions. The air was clean and fresh, filtered by plants that had been modified using Verdani biotechnology. "How many people live here?" Yoon Daeho asked as they passed through a busy marketplace where colonists traded goods and services. 50,000 now, Dr. Han Mireille replied. "But we can support 500,000 once the expansion is complete. And this is just one of our colonies." She led him to a command center where holographic displays showed the locations of human settlements across uncharted space. Yoon Daeho counted the lights and felt his breath catch. There were over 200 colonies, some with populations larger than major council worlds. "This is impossible," he said. "The logistics alone. How did we build all this without the council noticing?" Dr. Han Mireille laughed. "The council has been in power so long they forgot how to think like explorers. They only look where they expect to find things. They never thought to check the worthless systems." Back on Earth, Dr. Park Minji was discovering just how much the council had underestimated humanity. In her new laboratory, she was working with biological samples that would have been forbidden under council law. The lab was a marvel of human and alien technology combined, with equipment that could analyze life forms down to the molecular level. "The Ashani genetic sequences are fascinating," she told her research team. "Their cellular structure is completely different from anything the council has documented." The Ashani were a species that lived beyond council space, in the wild regions where humans were now building their new civilization. Unlike the council species, the Ashani were warriors who respected strength and innovation. They had contacted humanity shortly after the exile, curious about these new arrivals in their territory. "Doctor," said her assistant, a biochemist named Lee Sang-ho, "the Ashani ambassador is here for the test results." The Ashani ambassador was a tall, reptilian being with golden scales and intelligent green eyes. Her name was War Leader Thask, and she commanded respect wherever she went. She had been working with Dr. Park Minji to develop medical treatments that could work on both human and Ashani biology. "The results are excellent," Dr. Park Minji told the ambassador. "This new medicine will help both our species fight the plague that's been spreading through the outer colonies." War Leader Thask nodded approvingly. "Your people continue to surprise me, Doctor. The council said humans were too young and primitive to contribute to galactic civilization. They were fools. The council prefers to keep knowledge to themselves," Dr. Park Minji replied. "Humans prefer to share and improve together." This was another advantage humanity had gained through exile. Free from council rules about technology sharing, humans were forming partnerships with species the council had ignored or dismissed. These aliens brought their own knowledge and perspectives, helping humanity advance even faster than before. Captain Kim Taeman was experiencing this cooperation firsthand as he toured the Prometheus, one of the new ships from Choi Byul's shipyards. The ship was unlike anything that had ever existed. Its hull was made from the new hybrid armor, its engines used improved trilaxian fuel, and its life support systems incorporated Verdani plant technology. But the most amazing feature was the ship's computer system. Human programmers had combined their artificial intelligence with Luxan energy patterns, creating a thinking machine that was both logical and intuitive. "Ship status report," Kim Taeman said as he settled into the captain's chair. "All systems optimal." "Captain," the computer replied in a voice that sounded almost human, "we are ready for any mission you might assign." The bridge crew was a mix of humans and aliens who had chosen to leave council space to join humanity's growing civilization. They worked together smoothly, sharing knowledge and skills that made the ship more effective than any purely human or alien crew could be. "Set course for the frontier station," Kim Taeman ordered. "Let's see how fast this ship can really go." The Prometheus accelerated smoothly, reaching speeds that would have amazed council observers. In minutes, they had traveled a distance that would have taken traditional ships hours to cover. As the months passed, the truth became clear to those who were watching carefully. Humanity's exile had not weakened them. It had freed them to become something new and powerful. Every human colony was a center of innovation, every ship a marvel of combined technologies, every alliance a step toward a future the Council had never imagined. The Council had made their decision based on fear, hoping to preserve their ancient order by removing a threat to their power, but they had misunderstood the nature of that threat. Humans were not dangerous because they wanted to conquer the galaxy. They were dangerous because they wanted to change it. And now, free from the Council's restrictions, that change was happening faster than anyone had expected. In the hidden shipyards and secret colonies, humanity was building more than just a fleet or an empire. They were creating a new way of thinking about the galaxy, one that valued cooperation over control, innovation over tradition, and growth over stability. The Council would soon learn that exiling humanity had been the greatest mistake in their long history. 2 years after their exile, humanity encountered their first real test. The Ashani Empire, impressed by human technology and determination, had proposed a formal alliance. But alliances in the outer galaxy came with responsibilities, and now the Council was threatening both human and Ashani territory. Ambassador Kang Sora stood in the war room of New Sol Station, studying the holographic display that showed the disputed system. 3 planets orbited a young, bright star, rich with minerals that both humans and Ashani needed for their expanding civilizations. The system had been unclaimed when they arrived, but now Council ships were moving to take it by force. The Vorthak fleet will arrive in 6 days, reported General Lim Woo-jin, pointing to the enemy formations on the display. 12 heavy cruisers, 30 escort ships, and a command vessel. They claim the system belongs to the Council by right of ancient discovery. Kang Sora knew this was a lie. The Council had ignored this region of space for centuries, only showing interest when they learned that humans and Ashani were building successful colonies here. This was not about ancient rights. It was about preventing humanity from growing stronger. "What forces do we have available?" she asked. War Leader Thask, the Ashani ambassador, answered with a growl that showed her sharp teeth. "My people can provide 8 battle cruisers and 20 fast attack ships. But the Vorthak have better shields and weapons. In a straight fight we would lose." General Lim Woo-jin smiled. "Then it's fortunate we don't plan to fight straight." The general activated another display showing the human fleet that was approaching the system. To Ashani eyes, the ships looked small and fragile compared to the massive Council vessels. But appearances could be deceiving. "Our ships may be smaller," Lim Woo-jin explained, "but they have capabilities the Council has never seen. Captain Ryu Hyemin will demonstrate when the battle begins." Captain Ryu Hyemin was commanding the stealth destroyer Incheon, one of the newest ships from humanity's secret shipyards. Her vessel used technology that combined human engineering with alien science in ways the Council had never imagined. The ship could bend light around itself, becoming nearly invisible to most sensors. "Stealth field activated," reported her tactical officer, Lieutenant Nam Ji-won. "Enemy sensors show no detection." The Incheon was not alone. 5 other stealth ships moved through space like ghosts, positioning themselves around the Vorthak fleet. Each ship carried new weapons that had been designed specifically to counter Council technology. Captain Kim Taemin commanded the main human battle group from the bridge of the Prometheus. His ships were not trying to hide. They wanted the Vorthak to see them coming. The Council fleet would focus on the obvious threat, never noticing the invisible one. "Vorthak commander is hailing us," reported the communications officer. "Put him through," Kim Taemin replied. The main screen showed a Vorthak leader, its crystal body glowing with angry red light. When it spoke, the words came through the translator with cold precision. "Human vessels, you are trespassing in Council space. Withdraw immediately or face destruction." Kim Taemin stood and faced the screen. "This system was unclaimed when we arrived. Our colonies have been here for 8 months. You have no legal right to demand our withdrawal." "The Council's rights extend to all space that serves our interests," the Vorthak replied. "Your species was banished for good reason. Return to the empty regions where you belong." "No," Kim Taemin said simply. "We will not abandon our people or our allies." The Vorthak commander's glow shifted to pure white, indicating extreme anger. then you will be destroyed. All ships attack formation. Show these primitives the price of defying the Council. The battle began with the Vorthak fleet charging forward, their crystal ships gleaming with deadly energy. Their weapons could tear apart most vessels with a single shot, and their shields could absorb tremendous damage. Against a traditional enemy, the outcome would never be in doubt, but humanity was not a traditional enemy. BCO, shift drives activated, reported Captain Ryuhimin as her stealth ship suddenly appeared behind the Vorthak formation. The Incheon and her sister ships had used human-modified Luxan technology to slip through space itself, arriving where the enemy least expected them. The new weapons fired simultaneously. Instead of energy beams or projectiles, they released clouds of microscopic machines that human scientists called adaptive nanites. These tiny robots had been programmed with detailed knowledge of Vorthak technology, gathered during humanity's years in Council space. The nanites swarmed over the Vorthak ships, quickly learning how their shields and armor worked. Within minutes, they began adapting, finding weaknesses and creating new ways to attack. The supposedly invincible Council ships suddenly found their defenses failing. Impossible, the Vorthak commander shouted as his fleet began taking damage. Our shields should be immune to primitive weapons. General Lim Woo-jin, watching from the command station, spoke into the communication channel. Your mistake was thinking we were still primitive. We learned from you, and we made your technology better. The Ashani ships joined the battle, their crews cheering as they saw the mighty Council fleet struggling against human innovation. War Leader Thask's voice came through the battle network, full of fierce joy. This is how warriors fight, not hiding behind old victories but creating new ones. But the Vorthak were not helpless. Their commander quickly realized what was happening and began adapting his tactics. The crystal ships reformed into a defensive sphere, concentrating their firepower to punch through. The human attack enemy is targeting the Ashani formation, reported Lieutenant Nam Ji-won. They're trying to break our alliance by destroying our allies first. Captain Kim Taeman made a decision that would echo through the galaxy. Instead of protecting his own ships, he ordered the human fleet to put themselves between the Vorthak weapons and the Ashani vessels. All ships, cover the Ashani fleet. We do not abandon our friends. The human ships moved forward, taking hits that were meant for their allies. The Prometheus shuddered as Vorthak energy beam struck her hull, but the new armor held. Around them, other human vessels absorbed punishment that would have destroyed older ships. War Leader Thask watched in amazement as humans sacrificed their own safety to protect Ashani lives. In her culture, such loyalty had to be earned through years of shared battle. These humans offered it freely, simply because they had given their word. My people will remember this, she said into the communication channel. The Ashani Empire has found worthy allies. The battle turned when Captain Ryu Hyeman's stealth ships completed their mission. The nanites had learned enough about Vorthak technology to begin a coordinated attack on the enemy fleet's command systems. One by one, the crystal ships began losing power as their own technology was turned against them. The Vorthak commander found himself helpless as his ship's weapons went offline. Around him, his fleet was being systematically disabled by an enemy that understood his technology better than he did. This is not possible, he said, his crystal body flickering with confused colors. We are the masters of space. We have ruled for millennia. Captain Kim Taeman's voice came through the communication channel, calm and steady. You ruled through fear and tradition. We build through cooperation and innovation. Your time is ending. The Vorthak fleet retreated, leaving the disputed system in human and Ashani hands. But the victory was about more than one star system. News of the battle spread quickly through both Council space and the outer regions. For the first time in galactic history, the Council had been defeated in open combat. Other alien species that had suffered under Council rule began to take notice. Secret messages arrived at human colonies asking for meetings and offering alliances. The galaxy was beginning to realize that there was an alternative to Council dominance. Ambassador Kang Sora received reports from across human space showing the results of their victory. 3 minor alien civilizations had formally requested protection from the Human Colonial Federation. 5 others were sending diplomatic envoys to discuss trade agreements. The Council will not let this stand, she warned General Lim Woo-jin. They will come back with larger fleets and more powerful weapons. The general nodded. Let them come. Every battle will show more species that the Council can be beaten. Every victory will bring us more allies. As the human and Ashani fleet celebrated their victory, Captain Kim Taman looked out at the stars and saw a future full of possibilities. The Council had exiled humanity to preserve their power, but their plan was backfiring. Each attempt to stop human expansion only proved that humanity was strong enough to resist them. The first shots of a new kind of war had been fired, and the galaxy would never be the same. 5 years had passed since the Council banished humanity from their space. What they had intended as punishment had become humanity's greatest opportunity. The Human Colonial Federation now controlled over 200 star systems, protected by a fleet that made Council admirals wake up in cold sweats. President Song Jihye stood before the Federal Assembly, looking out at representatives from dozens of worlds and species. The Great Hall on New Earth Station was a symbol of everything humanity had built since their exile. Humans sat beside Ashani warriors, while delegates from the plant-like Verdani shared space with crystalline beings who had broken away from the Vorthak Empire. 5 years ago, the Council told us we were too dangerous to share their galaxy, President Song said, her voice carrying clearly through the translation systems. Today, we gather as proof that cooperation is stronger than control, that growth is better than stagnation. The president had been elected by representatives from every human colony and allied world. Unlike the Council's ancient hierarchy, the Federation had been built on the idea that all species deserved an equal voice in their government. It was a radical concept that attracted aliens from across the galaxy. In the shipyards orbiting New Seoul, Admiral Park Jin-woo watched as the latest fleet of Federation vessels took shape. These ships were marvels of cooperative engineering, combining the best technologies from dozens of species. The hulls used improved human metallurgy, the engines ran on refined Ashani fusion cores, and the life support systems incorporated biological advances from 6 different civilizations. The new dreadnought will be ready for trials next week, reported his chief engineer, Commander Yoon Mik-young. All systems are testing above expected parameters. Admiral Park Jin-woo nodded as he studied the massive vessel through the observation windows. The ship was 3 times larger than anything the Council had built, but it was also faster and more powerful. More importantly, it represented something the galaxy had never seen before, a weapon of war designed by former enemies working together. What about the rapid response fleets? He asked. Deployed to all border systems, Commander Yoon replied. Any Council probe that enters Federation space will find us ready. The rapid response fleets were Admiral Park Jin-woo's innovation. Instead of keeping large forces concentrated in a few places, the Federation maintained small, fast squadrons throughout their territory. These ships could respond to threats in hours instead of days, making it almost impossible for enemies to launch surprise attacks. On the colony world of New Jeju, Dr. Han Soo-young was overseeing humanity's most ambitious project yet. The planet had been a barren rock when Federation ships first arrived, with a poisonous atmosphere and no water. Now, 3 years later, it was becoming a garden world. The atmospheric processors are ahead of schedule, reported her assistant, Dr. Kim Sung-jae. We should have breathable air across the entire continent within 6 months. Dr. Han Soo-young smiled as she watched the latest batch of Verdani plants being installed in the terraforming stations. These remarkable organisms could convert the planet's toxic gases into oxygen while creating soil from bare rock. The Verdani had shared this technology freely, asking only that they be allowed to establish their own colonies on the new worlds. And the weather control systems? She asked. Online and stable, Dr. Kim replied. The Trilaxian rainmakers are working perfectly with the Ashani wind generators. This was the Federation's secret weapon, not just better technology, but the ability to combine technologies from different species in ways that created something entirely new. The Council had kept their member species separated, preventing them from sharing knowledge that might threaten the established order. The Federation encouraged such cooperation, leading to advances that amazed even the scientists who created them. Captain Ryu Hyemin stood on the bridge of her new ship, the Busan, watching as her stealth fleet prepared for another reconnaissance mission. The Federation needed to know what the Council was planning, and her ships could go places that conventional vessels could never reach. Stealth field is stable, reported her tactical officer, Lieutenant Choi Sung-ho. Long-range sensors show no Council activity in this system. The Busan was even more advanced than the ships that had won the first battle against the Vorthak. Her hull could phase in and out of normal space, making her nearly impossible to detect or attack. Her weapons used technology that adapted in real time to enemy defenses, ensuring that no ship could resist them for long. "Take us deeper into Council space," Captain Ryu ordered. "I want to know what they're building in the Kepler shipyards." The mission revealed troubling news. The Council was constructing new weapons designed specifically to fight Federation technology. They had learned from their defeats and were adapting their tactics. But the intelligence also showed something more encouraging. 3 more Council species were preparing to rebel against the central government. The Kefri, bird-like beings who had always been treated as second-class citizens by the Council, were secretly negotiating with Federation diplomats. The energy beings called the Luxons were providing technological assistance to human scientists. Even some Vorthak were beginning to question whether their crystal masters truly had their best interests at heart. Back in Federation space, Captain Kim Taeman was leading the newest addition to humanity's forces, a fleet of living ships that had been grown rather than built. These vessels combined human engineering with Verdani biotechnology, creating warships that could heal themselves and adapt to new threats. "Automatically, ship status report," he said to the biological computer that served as the vessel's brain. "All systems are healthy and growing. Stronger." The ship replied in a voice that sounded like wind through leaves. "I am eager to prove myself in battle, Captain." These bioships represented the Federation's greatest achievement. They were not just tools to be used, but partners that thought and felt and chose to fight alongside their human crews. The Council found them deeply disturbing, unable to understand how any species could willingly merge with alien life forms. The Council's fear was understandable. Every Federation advance challenged their basic beliefs about how the galaxy should work. They had built their power on the idea that different species should remain separate, that technology should advance slowly and carefully, that change was dangerous and should be controlled by wise leaders. The Federation proved that cooperation was stronger than separation, that rapid innovation could be safe if guided by wisdom, and that ordinary beings could govern themselves without ancient hierarchies telling them what to do. President Song Ji-hye received daily reports showing the results of these different philosophies. Federation worlds were prosperous and growing, their populations happy and productive. Meanwhile, Council space was experiencing unrest as member species began demanding the same freedoms they saw in the Federation. "The Trilaxians are requesting another diplomatic meeting," reported her secretary, Director Park Haiwan. "They want to discuss changing their relationship with the Council." "Schedule it," the president replied, "but make sure they understand we won't force them to choose sides. The Federation offers partnership, not dominance." This was another way the Federation differed from the Council. When species wanted to join them, they were welcomed as equals. When species wanted to remain neutral, their choice was respected. The Federation grew through attraction, not conquest. Admiral Park Jin-woo understood the military implications of this approach. Every world that joined the Federation willingly was a source of strength, providing resources and troops that fought with passion rather than obligation. Every species that remained neutral was a potential ally if the Council ever tried to reconquer Federation space. "Intelligence reports indicate the Council is planning a major offensive," he told the president during their weekly briefing. "They're assembling the largest fleet in their history." President Song Ji-hye nodded calmly. "How long until they're ready?" 6 months, maybe 8, the admiral replied. "They're calling it the Great Reclamation, claiming they need to restore order to the galaxy." "Then we have time to prepare," she said. "Continue building our defenses, but also continue building our alliances. When the Council comes, they should find the entire galaxy watching to see what kind of future will win." As the Federation prepared for the coming storm, the galaxy held its breath. 2 different visions of civilization were about to clash in a conflict that would determine the future of every species among the stars. The Council represented tradition, stability, and control. The Federation represented innovation, cooperation, and freedom. The exiled humans who had been cast out for being too dangerous had become exactly what the Council feared, not conquerors, but liberators. They had shown that the galaxy could work differently, that peace could be built on partnership rather than dominance, Now they would have to defend that vision against the combined might of the oldest and most powerful civilization in known space. 10 years after their exile, humanity faced the moment that would define the future of the galaxy. The Council had assembled a war fleet unlike anything seen in galactic history. Over 1,000 ships carrying the combined might of their remaining loyal species. Their target was not just Federation space, but Earth itself. Fleet Admiral Lee Jiho stood in the command center of the orbital fortress that now surrounded humanity's homeworld. Earth was no longer the small blue planet that the Council remembered. Massive defense platforms floated in perfect formations around it, their weapons powered by the same stars that had once seemed so far away. Enemy fleet detected at the edge of the solar system, reported Captain Hong Dawan from the sensor station. Council forces are larger than our estimates suggested. Admiral Lee Jiho studied the tactical display showing the approaching threat. The Council had brought everything they had left. Vorthak crystal ships that could shatter planets, Trilaxian biovessels that regenerated damage faster than most weapons could cause it, and new hybrid warships that combined the technologies of all their member species. "How long until they reach Earth?" he asked. 18 hours at current speed, Captain Hong replied. "But Admiral, they're not alone. Long-range sensors show other fleets moving throughout the galaxy. This is a coordinated attack on all Federation worlds," the Admiral nodded grimly. The Council had learned from their earlier defeats and was trying to overwhelm the Federation through sheer numbers. But they had made one critical mistake. They assumed that 10 years of exile had not changed humanity's fundamental nature. Chancellor Park Minji entered the command center, her diplomatic robes replaced by the practical uniform of a wartime leader. As head of the Federation's governing council, she had spent the past months trying to find a peaceful solution to the growing crisis. Now, with council ships approaching Earth, those efforts had clearly failed. "The Ashani Empire has confirmed their support," she reported. "War leader Thask is bringing every ship she can spare. The Verdani are providing their bioships, and even some Luxan energy beings have agreed to help." "What about the council species that want to switch sides?" Admiral Lee Jiho asked. 3 Trilaxian fleets have declared independence from the Council," Chancellor Park replied. "The Kefri Rebellion has control of 12 star systems. Even some Vorthak crystals are refusing to follow their leader's orders." This was the Council's greatest fear made real. Their attempt to destroy the Federation was tearing apart their own civilization. Species that had been loyal for thousands of years were choosing freedom over security, cooperation over control. Captain Kim Taemin commanded the Federation's primary battle fleet from his flagship, the Soul. Around him, hundreds of ships represented the best of what the galaxy could achieve when different species worked together. Human vessels flew alongside Ashani battlecruisers, while Verdani bioships moved in perfect harmony with mechanical destroyers. "All fleet units report ready for battle," announced his communications officer, Commander Park Sarah. "Our allies are in position throughout the system." The Soul itself was a masterpiece of cooperative engineering. Its hull combined human metals with Vorthak crystals, creating armor that was both flexible and incredibly strong. Its weapons used Ashani energy cores modified with Trilaxian biotechnology, producing beams that could adapt to any defense. Most remarkably, its brain was a fusion of human artificial intelligence and Luxan energy patterns, creating a consciousness that could think and react faster than any purely biological mind. "Enemy fleet is beginning their attack run," reported the tactical officer. "They're targeting the outer defense platforms first." "Let them come," Captain Kim replied calmly. "They're about to learn what we've really been building out here." The battle began with the Council fleet firing their most powerful weapons at Earth's defenses. Energy beams that could melt asteroids struck the orbital platforms, expecting to sweep them aside like leaves in a storm. Instead, the platforms absorbed the attacks and converted the energy into power for their own weapons. "Impossible," came the voice of the Council's supreme commander, a Vorthak crystal being whose body blazed with frustrated rage. "Those platforms should have been destroyed." Chancellor Park Minji's voice answered him through the communication channels. "You're still thinking like conquerors, trying to overwhelm through force alone. We built these defenses to turn your strength into our advantage." The truth was even more revolutionary than it appeared. The Federation had not just created better weapons and shields, they had fundamentally changed how warfare worked. Instead of trying to be stronger than their enemies, they had learned to be smarter, using the Council's own power against them. Captain Ryu Haemin led the stealth fleet in a strike that would have been impossible for any previous civilization. Her ships did not just turn invisible, they phased partially out of normal space, allowing them to pass through enemy shields and armor as if they were not there. Stealth penetration successful, she reported as her fleet materialized inside the Council formation. Beginning precision strikes on command vessels. The Council ships found themselves under attack from within their own defensive formations. Weapons that should have been safe behind layers of protection were suddenly vulnerable to enemies that could strike from any direction. But the Council was not helpless. Their supreme commander had studied every Federation victory and prepared countermeasures for humanity's most effective tactics. As the stealth ships attacked, hidden weapons activated throughout the Council fleet. "They're using some kind of reality anchor," reported Captain Ryu's science officer. "Our phase drives are being disrupted." Several Federation ships were forced back into normal space, where they came under immediate attack from Council weapons. The battle that had seemed one-sided suddenly became a desperate struggle for survival. Admiral Park Jin-woo, commanding the Federation's reserve fleets, made a decision that shocked both sides. Instead of sending reinforcements to help the ships under attack, he ordered them to retreat to minimum safe distance. "All ships, fall back to defensive perimeter 7, he commanded. "Prepare for Omega Protocol activation." Chancellor Park Min-ji took control of the communication channels, her voice reaching every ship in both fleets. "Council forces, you have one chance to surrender. We are about to demonstrate a weapon that will end this war permanently." The Council's Supreme Commander laughed, his crystal body flashing with scornful light. "You cannot threaten us with super weapons, human. We have ruled the galaxy for millennia. We know every possible technology." "No," Chancellor Park replied sadly. "You know every weapon designed to destroy. This is something different. The Omega Protocol was not a weapon at all, but the culmination of everything the Federation had learned about cooperation between species. Hidden throughout the solar system were devices that could project a field affecting the fundamental nature of space itself. When the field activated, something unprecedented happened. Every ship in the system, both Federation and Council, found their weapons systems shutting down. More than that, their ability to target other vessels was simply gone. The aggressive programming in their computers vanished, replaced by protocols that made attack impossible. "What have you done?" the Supreme Commander demanded as his fleet found itself helpless to continue fighting. "We have created the first truly peaceful space in galactic history," Chancellor Park explained. "Within this field, warfare is literally impossible. Ships can move, communicate, and defend themselves, but they cannot attack others." The revelation sent shockwaves through both fleets. The Federation had not built a superweapon. They had built a super peace, a zone where conflict could not exist no matter how much the participants wanted to fight. Captain Kim Taemin used the stunned silence to address the Council fleet directly. "You came here to destroy us because you believed that force was the only way to maintain order. We're offering you a different path, a galaxy where conflicts are resolved through cooperation instead of conquest." Slowly, the reality of the situation became clear to the Council forces. They could not win this battle because winning was no longer possible. Their only choices were to surrender or to retreat and try again elsewhere. But if the Federation could deploy this technology anywhere, traditional warfare was finished. The first ship to surrender was a Trilaxian biovessel, whose crew had been secretly sympathetic to the Federation for months. Others followed, until entire sections of the Council fleet were laying down their arms. The Supreme Commander found himself almost alone, his authority crumbling as his subordinates chose peace over pointless destruction. In the end, even he was forced to admit defeat. "The Council surrenders," he said, his crystal form dimming with exhaustion. "But this is not the end. Others will rise to challenge your new order." Chancellor Park Min-ji smiled gently. "Then we will show them the same choice we're showing you. They can join us in building something better. They can cling to the old ways and become irrelevant." The peace field was deactivated, but the psychological effect remained. The galaxy had seen a demonstration of power unlike anything in history, the power to make war itself impossible. In the days that followed, the surrender of the Council fleet triggered the collapse of their entire government.